So while I'm doing this contest to encourage you guys to try this, the real winner is going to be you and your clients if you teach them something and you're able to help them get to their next level. The second winner is somebody gets to go and have a nice fancy dinner. Now, I will say one or two people said, really? 6S? I'd rather go to blank. Well, you win this thing and I'll promise you I'll figure out how to get you into blank. You know, I don't want to, I just think that the experience at 6S is worth seeing it. So there you go. Contest begins today. I get to log in and see how many presentations you guys make every month. I'm going to be looking at that and we'll give updates. You can see I'm losing my voice already.
When does it
I have
end?
a quick question. Is the CMA that you've got on the posters the same as neighbor newsletter or? Okay, so what exactly is the CMA that you're wanting us to put out?
That's exactly what we're going to look at now.
Oh, you're awesome.
Because I figured you might want to have an idea, one, how to do it, two, how to do it a little faster. So there's a couple of things that you might want to make a note on.
Oh, okay.
Hey, Ray, scoot down towards the middle. I don't get to see you.
Can't see you. You want to scoot closer this way. He's trying to plug in his laptop at the same time.
Oh, well, that makes sense. Any home sold since 2017 gets really easy in this program. And that's because all the data from 2017 forward is already loaded. I want to say that again for Cindy Ford. Hi, Cindy Ford.
Good morning.
If your client has sold their house, has purchased their house, or it's resold or whatever in the MLS since 2017, this is really, really easy. If it's before 2017, it's still not a problem. Just you have to know a few more details. So what I would recommend if I were getting ready to make 5 phone calls today and ask 5 people, well, first, wish them Merry Christmas. How are things going? What's going on in your life, etc. And then I say, by the way, we got a new company tool. I would love for you to look at it. Tell me if you think it's good or not. Are you still living at 10710 Havenhurst Street? And if they say, well, of course I am. You haven't sold me a new house. Great. I've got your phone number. Is your email still? And I would write that on a brief little MLS printout. And I would do 5 for the day. Have them in front of me. And you don't have to do it my way. Just saying that's how I would do it. So let's say we have our first client that said, yep, I will see this and I'll let you know what I think. I'm going to start sharing my screen. You guys can see my screen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put that over there.
Yes.
So what I want to do is a CMA presentation. Present is a part of Moxie where you do presentations. Does everybody know that or understand that?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, I got a yes. So to start a presentation, you look for anything around here that says create new, start, something like that. Let's create new. Well, what kind of presentation do you want to do? Seller, property review, buyer tour, buyer and non-listing. Well, you can look at all those all you want. Most of them are self-explanatory. Property review is like a mini CMA, but it doesn't go deep enough for what I think your clients are going to want. So I'm going to suggest you pick seller and continue. Now I'm trying to go real slow. Is everybody with me so far? No questions, no confusion, right?
No.
Okay.
Yes.
You can hear our heads nod, really?
And there's a little box on the right that's about the size of a postage stamp that I would have to see your heads nodding. So when the new presentation opens up, well, we want to use a template. And I'm going to suggest you start with broker templates. But what I'm going to teach you is after you do your first one, you will save your own template. And when I click on that little arrow right there where it says brokerage templates, and I say my templates, well, I've got a template called Cheryl in Contacts and Greg Fix, Standard. You can have as many of your own templates as you want. And if you create your first template to be your contest, then all you got to do is select that one. But for the first one, I want to teach you how to set up your template. So I'm going back to brokerage templates. Okay. And these are the ones that I have made for you that you can use at any time. Default and seller. Well, that means that has all the pages in it and it's for a seller. Default. That's the one I would choose. It has 27 pages. Now, if you look in here and your client's selling a $750,000 home, you can choose distinct. I'm okay with that. I'm just telling you that as a beginning, I would set up the default. Continue. Who are we preparing it for? Well, my client's name is John Smith. One thing you'll notice here, and it's very important, because Cheryl asked me a question earlier this week. What if they're not in my database? Doesn't matter. John Smith is in my database, but it doesn't matter on this screen. And it won't matter later if you've got somebody else. So type in the name. We only have one MLS, and you push create. And it takes a minute, and I'm sorry. But you see that circle in the center of the screen pop up in a minute? Okay. Now, for the moment, and only for the moment, we're going to pretend that my client's house at 10710 Havenhurst was sold in 2012. Everybody with me? Okay. So I type in an address. This is a maze. And a zip code. I'm going to demonstrate this on purpose this way because some of your people's houses are going to be older. And there's a minor trick in this that you have to know why things happen to get the trick. I wouldn't fill in anything else up there. But we all know, excuse me, to do a good CMA, the more information we put in, the better we can choose the properties, and consequently, so can the machine. I'm not going to fill in a lot though. I'm going to put in it's a single family home. It has total bedrooms, 5. Total bathrooms is 3. Notice that you can put 3/4, half, or quarter baths in. We've got 3. And then this is the most confusing part of this, I got to push OK, of this program for us in Wichita. Excuse me. In other parts of the country, they don't spread out square footage versus living area like we do, above ground living area. If it's finished, it's finished. That has to do with how many places do basements and so on and so forth. And we had people that didn't like having the underground as finished because it costs more to build above ground than underground. But frankly, if you look at it overall, whether it's underground or above ground, 10 years from now, it doesn't matter near as much as people think it does, except when it's a brand new construction. So in Wichita, we decided to have total finished living space versus basements finished area and above ground. The next trick is you see over here to the right, living area square footage. Well, guess what? In about a third of the country, if you have a lanai or a covered patio, that's considered finished living area. Even if it doesn't have electricity, heat, cool, and so on, it's considered finished. So when we put square footage in here, we need to put in the total square footage that the house has finished, above ground and basement combined. Are there questions about that?
Greg, I hate to back up a little bit. How did you get to this screen again?
To this screen? Okay, I was on subject property. I'm sorry. I said that I wanted to build a new, create new. When I pushed on create new, it said, what kind of presentation do you want? I said, we want a seller property. And then I pushed continue. Well, what template do I want? I want the default template. I push on continue, and it says, who are you preparing it for? John Smith. And create. And I have to put a number there because I already have a John Smith. And now in a second, a gray circle is going to pop up in the middle. And it takes me to this screen that we were just on. Okay?
Thank you.
Okay. So
Got it. Thank you.
So from what I just showed you, and this works out fine, I was going to end up putting in the bedrooms, the bath, the total finished square footage, and the year built. And I could put in other things if I want or not. In this house that we're looking at's case, it has a 3-car garage. Well, I put yes and 3 spaces. Now I've covered the 3-car garage. Even if I don't want to put anything else in, because for the most part, our HVAC is pretty much the same, roofing is pretty much the same in the neighborhood, so on and so forth, I could get numbers from there. But what I really want to show you from here is if the house was built from 2017, that's January 1st forward, all I have to do up here is put in the MLS number. In this case, it's 550483. And I copy it.
Hey, Greg, so just stepping back, so if we have to put them in manually, then we only put the TFLA in the square footage and just leave the living area square feet field blank? Or do we put that in both of those spots? Or
Leave
does
it.
it matter?
Leave it blank and it doesn't matter. I just hate to do more work than I have to.
Okay, thank you.
So let's look down this information that was pulled in from the MLS number to see why it's much quicker if you do that. First, you get a picture of the house. That's kind of cool. Second, all the schools and everything are filled out. We already had it mapped. The mapping works regardless. We come down to the subject property, and to Sandra's question, it auto-populates the square footage with the total finished living area. It doesn't even have anything in living area square foot because we don't use that field in Wichita. It's got the taxes, where it's from, all of the features and so on, in the agent's remarks who put it in last time. Does everybody understand why it could be an advantage if the data's already in there? Now you can nod your heads.
Yeah, I have a quick question. When
Shoot,
you put that number that you put in there, was that that was the MLS number?
right here,
Okay, yeah. Okay, got it.
that is the MLS number from our MLS number. So let me backtrack a bit. I suggested if I've got 5 people I'm going to call, I print out their MLS sheets. If you have 2 computer screens and you want to just bounce back and forth, that's easy. But I also like to make notes sometime. Print out the sheet, write the name on it. Here's their phone number.
Greg, stop.
Yes.
What's that mean?
I've heard you've got a glitch. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Greg.
See, that's why I don't update. She's always like, you need to update. Oh, what kind of, oh, it was cookie. I thought it was candy. Candy.
See, this is, I did this on my house. I put my MLS.
Okay, so I guess they're having to do a little update and whatnot. So I'm going to pause
We're back.
recording. Oh, you're back?
We're back.
That's fast. Okay. So when I said to print out the 5 sheets, it's not because I can't get data or just write down a bunch of MLS numbers, but it might be helpful if I want to make notes on each client as I'm talking to them, so I can remember or put things in. But I put the MLS number in, it pulls in all the data, and I say, yep, that's all ready. All right, is everybody good with me up till now?
Yes, teacher.
Yes,
Yes.
teacher. Well, that's better than bubonic boss. So then we go to continue. So based on the very few filters, well, we put in a lot of filters, but this program in the background is now saying, based on the data you put in and what we believe are good comparisons within statistical percentages of what should be homes that you want to use, here's what we've come up with. This is automatically done for you. Now, I'm going to use most of these, and I'm going to show you why I'm not, and then I'm going to show you something else.
Greg, another
Yeah.
question. So I just put in my own address. This is Sandra, and it gave me 25. So
Mhm.
obviously I don't want to send that many to a client. Do you know what the criteria it is using to pick those comparables?
I do not, and I wish I did. What I can tell you is you can sort them in a number of ways in this right-hand corner. Right now, they're sorted by distance. I can do price, date listed, beds, baths, date sold, square footage, and so on. I can't do year it was built or anything else. But in Greg said, I know that probably north of 29th may not fit in as well, or this one with the ones that are closer. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And Sandra, another point you can do is zoom in. When I zoom in now, I got rid of all of those really far out outliers. Any questions so far? I'm trying to keep it very. If any time I say, well, I don't think if I've got a 2,400 square foot house, I want to use 2,500. But actually, all these look pretty close to me. But I might want to say, how come this one was so much cheaper? Well, I don't know how many garage it had, but if I click on details, that gives me just about everything out of the MLS. Now, I know some people like to do much more in-depth, too bad Lance isn't here, I can't pick on him, CMAs, and they go, I don't want a machine ever picking anything for me. That's fair enough. I'm trying to show you a quick way to do something, what I call down and dirty. You're telling your client you're doing this to give them an idea and to look at the program. If I were doing a real CMA, I might go on the MLS, weed them out further, then come back just with MLS numbers. But for now, I'm going to say, all right, I don't want this one because it's a bi-level and a two-car garage. But I want these two, these three. Now, to make, again, many of you might want to stop right there and you're done selecting properties. I'm going to try to fill your head with more knowledge. If you want to say, Greg told me to stop here, I will. Go for it. You can also remove all the filters. You don't get to see all the filters. But if I reset them all, I can go back to defaults or to subject property value. Well, I'm going to defaults. And you're going to see I have 136 listings to choose from. I still haven't gone back to do things, but I know the machine eliminated a bunch of them for me. On the other hand, I also see as I zoom in, there's several more in this neighborhood that I may want to consider just because they didn't meet the machine criteria. Maybe the date of build or so on was different. And I can see several right here where I can either click on them over here and take a quick look, or I can go down here. Let me close that. And highlight some that I think, wow, those maybe should have been included. So I'm going to do that. Let me close that. And I'm going to include that one because it's a 3-car garage, and that one, and they back up to the lake, and I like those. So just as a quick down and dirty, I've selected plenty of listings. So now I'm going to push continue. Is everybody with me so far?
Yes.
Is anybody complaining that this system sucks and then walking out of the room yet?
Doesn't look like it.
Not yet.
Okay, continue. Now it's going to give you a list of the properties you chose, and you can edit or adjust them if you think there's something about it that should be an adjustable. Maybe it was built at the wrong time. Maybe it doesn't have as many bedrooms. But for what I'm doing for this contest, this isn't bad. Would you all agree with that? I need verbal acclamations here. Affirmation.
Good.
Bueller.
Looking good.
Okay. So now I'm ready to move forward. I've got the properties I want, and I'm going to push continue. That market value is wrong because that's what they purchased the house for back in 2000, whatever. If you read this pricing stats, the average comparable, the average dollar per square foot, my property is this much. Based on the square foot alone, their house should sell for around 326. Now, again, I'm not trying to tell you that you ought to send that price out, because I wouldn't. I will also tell you that I was talking to Brenda about this contest, and her comment was, this machine is actually surprisingly close to what she runs on her CMAs all the time. That doesn't
Greg,
mean you should
this
trust it. I'm telling you, one of our people does. Did we have a question?
No, this is Sandra. I have done the same thing. I usually will do my own CMA and manipulate, add and subtract. And it's amazing how close that number is a lot of the time. I've been pleasantly surprised.
So because this is a client we're not trying to price the house for, we're trying to show the product and show them that, wow, their house is probably worth a whole lot more than they bought it for. I take this number right here and I type it into here. And I can already hear the screams. I don't want to tell them that price. You're correct, you don't. You want to create a range. Well, what is my range? Oh, I don't know. You want 5% and calculate? Do you say that's too much? I want 3% and calculate. What percentage do you want? And we have given them a very wide range because we've not seen the house. We're not providing a CMA. We're giving them an idea of where they could fall between. And I apply. Did everybody get that, or you want me to do it again?
Got it.
I got it.
Oh, okay. So here comes the most time-consuming part. The first time you create this. Continue. What pages do I want to send out as my contest check page? I'm not going to require you to send any certain page. It's up to you. But I'm going to tell you right now, the presentation has more pages than you possibly could want to sell. Second, some of the pages I have been duplicated. For instance, I have 2 cover pages in here. I have this one that has the house photo, and I have this one that has our pretty photo. Well, you may look at this and say, I never ever want to say send Greg's page. Click the little X to remove it. It takes a minute to remove it. And that's why this part takes more time. Do you want your agent profile in it? Yes, or you may not because you haven't edited it. Well, let's take out my profile. They know I'm sending them an email. They don't need it. And you continue going through these pages till you decide what you do or do not want to send. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
Okay.
Greg, I do have a question though on my agent profile. I have put it in, but it is outdated. There's some things that need to be changed. And when I go to that page and I hit edit,
Uh-huh.
the only thing it gives me,
It won't let you do it.
it's just show my picture or don't show it. It doesn't let me edit the text. Where
So
do I do that at?
the reason that is Realogy is trying to make this easier on you. And easy on you means complicated on somebody else. So they put your profile in one place in their database, and they pull that data for all of you, their different programs, so you don't have to enter it 5 times. But that means Tracy, me, or Devin have to put your profile changes in, phone numbers, email addresses, photos to update that. Everybody get that? Cheryl,
What about the remarks though? We have
Same.
to have you do that the same? Okay.
Same thing. And Cheryl, I haven't heard from you for a while. Are you still going to win this? I want to know. So as you go through pages and say, you know, for me, Cheryl's impressed. Thank you, Cheryl. I like the listing map and the listing overview. Status comparisons, that's your call. But if you want to see what it looks like, well, no, that's a wasted page for me. I'm going to take it out. And listing average price, I kind of like that. Price and size, I happen to know is a graph that looks impressive but doesn't really tell anybody anything. So I'm taking that out. Then I'm taking that out. Well, no, I kind of like that. Net proceeds, I'm taking that out. Because they don't need a net proceeds. I'm not trying to get them to sell. I'm going to take out harness the power because that's talking a lot about BHG and all kinds of other things. And great, it's wonderful, but come on. So you have to decide what you want in there. For the contest, I don't need to tell them about our showing service. I'd like them to know that I'll negotiate and help with their closing. I don't want that page. And actually, the last page says, let's get it on the market. And again, for this contest, do you really want to send them out and say, hey, why isn't your house on the market? Some of you might say, I want to use that page because using that page might tell them, gosh, I can make $100,000. Maybe it's worth it. So I'm going to take it out. And once you're happy with all your pages, you just have to save that as a template. So let's review on this page. Let's review across the top. We put the subject property in. We searched for listings. We found the listings that we're going to use. We came up with a price range. And now we're on the pages that we want. Well, this step we wouldn't even have had to do if we had saved it as a template. So I'm going to save it. And it's a seller template. It's custom. Here's the ones that I already have. And I need to put a custom title in. Contest. You see, it won't let me name something that's taken. Well, that's all right. I could probably click on it down here and not resave it. You can also see how many pages I have. Maybe I think that's all right, but I'm going to name it Contest 2. Save. I'm finished. What I want to do now is send it to the client, correct? Or do we want to preview it? Which do you prefer?
Preview.
Preview.
So what we do is look on view. Do you want to see the web version, which is what we've been looking on along here all the way? Or do you want to see the printout of the PDFs? Not part of the contest, but just so you know, anytime you make your presentation, you have it in web form and in PDF form. All the pages match up, go across the board. And
Which
if
is
any
better to
status,
email?
beg pardon,
Which is easier to email?
the web version. Good question. But you may have a client that you say, I'll send a hard copy to if you want. Not for the contest. But let's look at the web view for a minute. So your client gets the email with a link in it. And I'll email it to myself in a minute. They click on that link and this opens up. Scroll down. Well, there's a house. There's me. There's the address and there's the date. Scroll down some more. That talks about page. I'm going to quit narrating. I think you can figure out the pages.
Quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
When you send that via email, is there like in the body of the email where you can make a custom remarks to your client?
Yes. And when we email that, I'll show you. Got the map. My screen's real big, so it may be hard to see everything. When you click on these, it will go and highlight the property up there on that map comes up. And if you click on this, it opens up a detail screen of the property to show it off. Okay. Let me see. Okay. And I want to close that comparable.
Cheryl has a question in chat.
Is this live? Meaning if something goes under contract? Yes, it does. It will not show any new listings that come on the market because it requires you to choose those. But if it goes from pending to closed or listed, active to pending, yes, it updates. And you can see when we get down here, we've got more. And so you say, wow, there's too many side-by-side comparisons. I'm going to go back and remove that page. You can do that. Home averages, days on market. I thought I removed that. Apparently I didn't save it. Okay, so let me do something here. I'm going to close that. Remember, we were on this page. Presentation. Templates. My templates. Contest 2. Those are the pages we want. So I'm going to send it. Send presentation. And yes, Lynn, you can choose which one you want. Cheryl asked a question. What if they're not in my database? Well, you can see if they're already in my database, I don't have to do a lot in here. But if they're not in my database, I just type their name in. Here is the CMA told you about. Then you have 2 places to type in. Place number 1 is the greeting. So the email will take whatever you said to and make it very big in the email. Then it will say greeting. I want one. And I want, hey, John. Looks like like your home really increased in value. Congrats. Glad to hear you're still happy. Yes, it will tell you when they open it.
One other thing, Greg, when you're putting in two and the person's not in your database, don't you have to actually add the physical email address, not just the name?
Yep. Good point.
Thank you.
So I should have put in there, not to John Smith, but to me, because I'm mailing it to me. And that's why when I typed in an email address, it popped up red. Remember, I wrote John Smith. See how it's red? It won't let you send it. So if they're not in your database, all you have to do is put their email. Cheryl asks, does it automatically send you a copy? No, you need to make sure this little box down here that says send copy to myself is checked. Send. I'm done. I can go back to the home screen. I'm going to bring my email. You guys can see this now, right?
Yes.
I have no idea how long it'll take to send out. Normally just a few minutes. There it is. So that's the cover they see. Says, hey, John, looks like you really like your home.
Pick send portrait presentation or send PDF. He's put
Yep.
this one, the first one. Okay.
View seller presentation. They click the link and that comes up. Everybody understand?
Yes.
Yes.
The shouts of excitement are overwhelming me.
They're focused.
Okay, so as far as my presentation is, I'm kind of done. The one thing I would show you is that once we have set up that template, I told you that was the hard part. Create new. I want a seller presentation still. Continue. I no longer want a brokerage template. I want one of my templates. Well, there's contest 2, 18 pages. I'm picking it. Continue. And then you start through the process of who's it going to, putting in your address or an MLS number, selecting your properties. Everybody got it?
Yep.
Then I'm
Yes.
Easy peasy.
gonna, thank you. Then I'm going to shut up unless you have questions because I got to save my voice.
For who?
I think they're good.
Well, thank you all so much for attending. You find out how to turn off the recording.